Ladies, have you ever stared at your calendar wondering why your period just won't stop? Or maybe out of nowhere you start bleeding in the middle of the month with no explanation. It's frustrating. It's scary, and let's be real. Nobody talks about it. A lot of women confuse heavy periods with abnormal bleeding, but knowing the difference could literally save your health. So let's break it down. What's normal, what's not, and when you need to see a doctor. Your period isn't just a cycle. It's your body's monthly health check. Ignoring abnormal bleeding could mean missing important warning signs. Let's dive into what you need to know so you can take control of your health. Let's get one thing straight. Heavy periods, Rong Kinh, last longer than 7 days, but they still follow your regular monthly cycle. Heavy periods might be due to hormonal imbalance, fibroids, endometriosis, or even stress. If your period lasts longer than 7 days and you're soaking pads every hour, girl, that's a problem. Some women experience severe cramping, large blood clots, and extreme fatigue. Meet Anna. She's 17, a high school senior, and she's been bleeding for 11 days straight. At first, she thought it was normal, but after soaking through 4 pads a day, feeling dizzy in class, and even passing out in gym, she knew something was wrong. Here's how things can go from bad to worse if left untreated. Heavy periods. The hidden danger. Stage 1. Ignoring the signs. Oh, it's just a heavy flow, it'll pass. Stage 2. Chronic anemia. Feeling tired all the time, short of breath weak. Stage 3. Serious complications. Needing iron infusions or even a blood transfusion. Doctor's advice. If your period is controlling your life, it's time for medical help. Most women don't notice the first signs of a problem. The body whispers before it screams. Real story. Julia's ignored symptoms. Julia, a 24-year-old teacher, had always had slightly long periods. Instead of 5 to 6 days, hers lasted 8 to 9 days. No big deal, right? She felt a little tired, but with work stress and everyday life, she brushed it off. Early warning signs she ignored. Bleeding for more than 7 days. Feeling slightly dizzy but blaming it on too much coffee. Mild cramping that seemed a little stronger than usual. Julia thought, I've always had heavy periods. Maybe it's just my body. She didn't realize her body was sending warning signs. What causes these conditions? 1. Hormonal imbalances. When your hormones go crazy, your period does too. Common culprits: PCOS, polycystic ovary syndrome, irregular periods, excessive hair growth weight, gain, thyroid disorders, can cause long or unpredictable cycles, perimenopause. If you're in your late 30s or 40s, irregular bleeding can signal menopause is coming. Story: Sarah's battle with PCOS. Sarah, 19, had unpredictable periods. 1 month, no period. Next month, bleeding for 12 days straight. She thought it was normal until her doctor diagnosed her with PCOS lesson. If your cycle is all over the place, get your hormones checked. 2. Endometriosis. The hidden disease. A painful disorder where tissue similar to the uterus lining grows outside the uterus. Symptoms: extreme cramps, not normal ones. We're talking can't get out of bed pain. Pain during sex. Heavy periods that last longer than a week or Lisa's pain that doctors ignored. Lisa, 27, went to multiple doctors because of her extreme cramps. They told her periods are supposed to be painful. Wrong. After years of suffering, she was finally diagnosed with endometriosis. Lesson: pain that disrupts your life is not normal. What happens with severe anemia? Extreme fatigue and brain fog, heart palpitations, your heart has to work harder, shortness of breath and dizziness, hair loss and brittle nails. Story: Jessica's life-altering moment. Jessica, 23, was in college balancing schoolwork and social life. She thought her low energy levels were just a part of being busy, But after months of heavy bleeding and feeling drained, she finally went for a blood test. Her hemoglobin levels were so low that doctors were shocked she was even able to function. She needed iron infusions immediately. Symptoms of fibroids and endometriosis: excessive bleeding, chronic pelvic pain, pain during sex, bloating, and frequent urination story. Rachel's mysterious stomach pain. Rachel, 37, had been dealing with heavy painful periods for years. She just thought she was one of those women who had it bad. But one day the pain was unbearable and she went to the ER. The cause: a fibroid the size of an orange was pressing against her uterus. Meanwhile, abnormal bleeding, Rong Huyet, is bleeding, that shows up when it's not supposed to, in the middle of your cycle after sex, or even when you've already hit menopause. That's a big red flag. Bleeding outside your period, time to check with a doctor. Abnormal bleeding can be caused by PCOS endometrial polyps infections or even cervical cancer. If you're bleeding after sex or spotting when you shouldn't be, your body is trying to tell you something. If your bleeding doesn't match your cycle, you need to take it seriously. Now, let's talk about Emily. She's 25, works full-time, and bleeds at the weirdest times. Sometimes after sex, sometimes in the middle of the month. It's light, but it's always there. Abnormal bleeding, the silent alarm. Stage 1. Spotting here and there. It's probably just stress stage 2. Recurring irregular bleeding, random bleeding that won't go away. Stage 3. Possible reproductive health risks. PCOS, fibroids infections, or even cancer. Doctor's advice: if bleeding doesn't make sense, get it checked. Real story: Emma's unstoppable bleeding. Emma, a 32-year-old lawyer, had no history of period problems. One month her period lasted 2 weeks. She shrugged it off, but the next month the bleeding started randomly between her cycles. Serious symptoms she ignored. Bleeding for over 10 days. Passing huge blood clots. Feeling exhausted after climbing a single flight of stairs. Bleeding after sex. Emma figured, maybe my body is adjusting. I'm just tired from work, but her body wasn't just tired. It was desperate for help. When abnormal bleeding goes untreated, it can lead to severe complications. Real story: Olivia's ER visit. Olivia, 29, was a fitness instructor. She thought she was healthy. She ate right, exercised, and took care of herself. But for the past 6 months she noticed random bleeding between her periods. Then one day she fainted at the gym. Rushed to the ER, doctors found that she had been losing so much blood that she was severely anemic. When untreated, heavy or abnormal bleeding can cause severe anemia, dangerously low iron levels. Blood transfusions if you lose too much blood. Infertility or pregnancy complications. Higher risk of serious diseases like uterine cancer. The truth: your period is your body's monthly health report. If something is off, listen to it. What causes these conditions? Uterine fibroids and polyps. These non-cancerous growths can mess up your flow by making your uterus bleed excessively. Story: Monica's mysterious stomach pains. Monica, 35, had always had heavy periods, but she also noticed severe bloating and cramps. Turns out she had a fibroid the size of a grapefruit. Fibroids or polyps can cause long, heavy periods, painful cramps, frequent urination because they press against your bladder. 2. Infections and cervical cancer. If you're bleeding after sex, it could be an untreated infection, like an STI. Cervical cancer, especially if you're over 30 and never had a pap smear story, Mia's wake-up call. Mia, 31, had light spotting after sex. She thought, maybe I scratched myself, but when it happened again and again, she got a pap smear, and doctors found precancerous cells. If you're bleeding after sex, get checked ASAP. Signs of reproductive cancer. Bleeding after menopause. Bleeding after sex. Unexplained spotting between periods. Monica's late diagnosis. Monica, 41, never thought much about her periods. But when she started spotting after sex, she thought, maybe I'm just getting older. Months later, when the bleeding became more frequent, she finally went to the doctor. The diagnosis: early stage cervical cancer. When to see a doctor: immediately, red flags that require urgent attention, bleeding longer than 10 days, passing blood clots larger than a quarter, feeling extremely weak, dizzy, or fainting, bleeding outside your regular cycle or after menopause. Before jumping into solutions, doctors first figure out the root cause of your abnormal bleeding. This isn't a one-size-fits-all situation. Doctors typically start with blood tests. Check for anemia, thyroid disorders, or hormone imbalances, ultrasounds. Look for fibroid cysts or abnormal growths, endometrial biopsy. Tests for infections or precancerous cells. Real story: Megan's misdiagnosis. Nightmare: Megan, 35, went to 3 different doctors for her extremely heavy periods. One told her it was just stress. Another said she should just wait it out. But when she collapsed at work from severe anemia, she finally saw a specialist who diagnosed her with uterine fibroids, which could have been treated years earlier. Morale of the story: if a doctor dismisses your symptoms, find a second opinion. Your body, your health. Don't let anyone tell you it's just normal. Treatment for heavy periods: Rong Kinh. 1. Hormonal birth control. Regulate the flow, who it's for women with heavy, long, or irregular cycles. Birth control pills. Lightens periods and regulates cycles. Hormonal IUD, like Mirena. Can stop heavy bleeding completely. The shot, Depo-Provera, can reduce or stop periods entirely. Real story: Rachel's life changed with birth control. Rachel, 22, had always had horribly painful heavy periods that lasted 10+ days every month. When she started birth control pills, her period went from a 12-day nightmare to a 5-day manageable flow. Her words: "I finally feel like I can live my life again." Important. Birth control isn't for everyone. It can have side effects. Talk to a doctor about what's right for you. 2. Iron supplements. Fight anemia before it gets dangerous. Who it's for: women who feel constantly exhausted, dizzy, or weak during their periods. Iron supplements help replace lost blood and boost energy. Pair with vitamin C, like orange juice, for better absorption. Real story: Emily's wake-up call. Emily, 27, thought it was normal to feel completely drained on her period. But when she started waking up too exhausted to get out of bed, she finally got tested. Her iron levels were dangerously low. She had severe anemia from losing too much blood. After taking iron supplements daily, she felt like a new person. If your anemia is severe, you might need an iron infusion. Don't ignore extreme fatigue. It's a serious red flag. 3 NSAIDs, like ibuprofen, reduce bleeding and cramps. Who it's for women who have moderate to heavy bleeding with painful cramps. Ibuprofen, Advil, or naproxen, Aleve, can reduce heavy flow by 30 to 40%. Works best if you take it right when your period starts. Real story: Jessica's cramps were ruining her life. Jessica, 18, would miss 2 days of school every month because of crippling cramps and heavy bleeding. She started taking naproxen as soon as her period started, and it cut her flow and pain in half. Now she doesn't miss a single class reminder. NSAIDs are not a long-term fix. They help symptoms, but they don't cure the problem. For surgery, last resort for severe cases. Who it's for women who have fibroid severe endometriosis or bleeding that won't stop endometrial ablation. Burns away the uterine lining to reduce bleeding myomectomy, removes fibroids from the uterus hysterectomy, removes the uterus. Only for extreme cases where no other treatment works. Real story: Laura's decision to get surgery. Laura, 39, had fibroids so big they made her look pregnant. She bled so much that she couldn't leave the house on her period. After trying meds, birth control, and dietary changes, her doctor recommended a myomectomy. Now, no more pain, no more heavy bleeding, and no regrets. Surgery is a last option. Try less invasive treatments first. But if nothing else works, it can be life-changing. Treatment for abnormal bleeding. Rong Huyet. If you're bleeding outside your period, your doctor may try hormonal therapy. Helps control random bleeding antibiotics. If an infection is causing bleeding, surgery. If you have polyps, fibroids, or a serious condition. Cancer screenings. If irregular bleeding is persistent. Real story, Maria's scary diagnosis. Maria, 41, started bleeding randomly between periods. She thought it was just stress. But after months of avoiding the doctor, she finally got checked and they found precancerous cells on her cervix. Thankfully, because they caught it early, she got treatment and fully recovered. If you're bleeding outside your cycle, don't ignore it. Cervical and uterine cancers are rare, but real. Prevention and self-care. Track your cycle. Apps like FlowClue or Period Tracker help you notice changes early. Don't ignore symptoms. If something feels off, see a doctor, get regular checkups. Pap smears, ultrasounds, and hormone tests can catch problems early. Stay informed. Learn about women's health so you can advocate for yourself. Knowledge is power, but action saves lives. Share this with your besties. It could save their life. Did you learn something new today? Drop a heart in the comments. Have you or someone you know struggled with heavy periods or abnormal bleeding? Let's talk about it. The more we share, the more we educate. Tag your friends who need to hear this. Your health matters. Your voice matters. Let's break the silence together. And don't forget, hit like, share, and follow for more real talk about your health. Because when we start talking, we start changing lives.